What up, world? How y'all doing out there in Facebook land? Told you guys I had an exciting week of guests for you this week on Talking Money in the Morning Live, and you guys about to be a witness. First gentleman gonna kick us off today, man, is an amazing brother, doing some amazing things. And you guys know how I do for my Brothers Keeper Speaker series. You've got to meet 3 criteria for me to even consider you as a guest. Number 1, you got to be doing big things in business, right? We are in America. If you're not in business, you're a foreigner in your own country. Number 2, you got to be doing big things in the community. And this brother is doing that as well. And number 3, you've got to be willing to teach other brothers how to get it done. And this brother is amazing at doing that as well. So go ahead and share this out, guys. You know, I normally don't even be on time, but today I want to give this brother every minute we absolutely can for him to share with you guys from his heart some actual practical solutions as it relates to what it is that we could be doing as a people to transform our lives and our existence on this very, very planet. So go ahead and share this out. And we're going to get ready to start the show here on YouTube. And really, it's time to get it, y'all. It's time to get it. Let's stop playing this morning and let's get ready to rock and roll. So let's see. Yep. Go live there.
Put the hip shit on the shelf, cause the way the real wealth is being real with self. My dad been seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. It's time to switch it up, put the hip shit on the shelf, cause the way the real wealth is being real with self. My dad been seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. Money. Money back is not wrong being wealthy. Like Kanye West said, having money is not everything, not having it is. Deuteronomy 8:18 says God gives us the ability to create wealth. Yo, it's the love of money that's wrong. You don't like money so much, why do you get up and go to work? Yeah, I do get up and do that. I'm just trying to leave a legacy for money. It's not everything, but when you got it, you can do some cool stuff. And now, your host for Talking Money in the Morning, financial health mentor to the working class, Mr.
Good morning, Black world, and welcome to Talking Money in the Morning Live with your main man, H. Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the Black community, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur, where I do my absolute best to bring practical yet proven wealth building strategies to working men and women all over this great nation of ours. Truly an honor, privilege, and a blessing to be coming to you live and direct from the Thomas TJ Loftin studios here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you're not familiar with Thomas TJ Loftin and all of his endeavors, especially his coaching program, you want to make sure that you go check him out at www.thomastjloftin.com. Link is in the description. Brother is amazing. Get you a consultation, get set up. Brother is an internationally known entrepreneur, business coach, and economic strategist. So if you need some help developing business, you need a good coach, mentor, then check out my man, Thomas TJ Loftin. Do me a huge favor, you guys, if you're checking this out on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you have not already subscribed to the channel. And make sure when the show is over, you copy the link to today's show, you share it on your favorite social media timeline, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you like to share stuff. Please share this out so that we can compete with the ratchetness that is out there. And leave a comment, because I can see your comments as well since we're streaming live. Also, you guys who are checking us out on Facebook, do the same thing. If you have not already shared the stream, hit share, and then remind me in mid-show for those who jump on a little bit later for them to share it as well. Today we got some great content for you. And if you haven't hit the notification button for the page itself, you want to be notified anytime I go live. I go live about 3 times a day. The Lunch and Learn series is starting to pick up steam. So you want to just be engaged. Make sure you like the page. But more importantly, share this stuff out, man. And be prepared today to comment, engage, thumbs up, hearts. See, that stuff don't mean anything to me because I know you guys appreciate what I do because you're here every morning. But it means something to Facebook. And if we want Facebook to push positive content out in front of more and more people versus the negative, then we've got to be commenting, liking, and sharing on the good stuff. And that here, I am back. I'm not sure what's going on with my connection this morning. But for you, those, this get something, then this is your show. This show is for if you are trying to build a legacy for your family. Then, on the other hand, who is the show not for? This show is not for the eternal bump on the road. This show is not for that pessimistic person that's got a problem for every solution. If you're that type of person, I'll have to politely ask you to leave the stream. I have a very low tolerance for people who just don't want to do anything, complain, but ain't doing nothing, right? One of my favorite new should not way of the person that's doing it. So if you're the type of person who's got a problem with money, you got a problem with success, you got a problem with winning and people engaging and actually getting on, then this show is not for you. And like I tell you each and every morning, if you've never seen a future billionaire before, I want you to take a screenshot. Jeez, because you're looking at one right now and watch me work. 2027 is going down. I know some of you guys can't dream that big and thinking, how can you become a billionaire in 10 years? Well, watch me work. Today's show is also brought to you by the Black Wealth Movement. If you are looking for a way to make some extra money and you're willing to put in an intense 6 weeks of effort to build a $2,500 monthly residual, then I want you to go to moreinfo.joincorteznow.com, moreinfo.joincorteznow.com to learn what the Black Wealth Movement has to offer. We can put you in your own financial education franchise, teach you how to build wealth yourself personally, but then teach you how to teach others, and you can make a strong passive and residual income by doing so. So, man, today I was doing what I do normally. I'm out coaching, teaching, and I'm always searching the feed on Facebook to find good, positive things where I can go and learn. And somebody was streaming a workshop that this brother was teaching on. And it stopped me in my tracks because he teaches a lot of the same things. I could tell we are kindred spirits from what he was teaching and talking about whole do for self and building our own economy, and has some practical steps in how to do that. So I immediately Googled the brother, tracked him down, found his YouTube channel, reached out, and brother got back with me and said, man, it'd be my pleasure to come on your show and talk to your audience about what it is that I have going on. So without further ado, I am honored. It's a privilege and a blessing to be able to introduce to some and present to others my brother from another mother, Mr. Thomas TJ Loftin. So, how you doing, good brother?
I'm great, and yourself, good brother?
Man, everything is going well. I appreciate you taking the time to stop by the show, man, and really talk about what you're doing in the area of technology, manufacturing, business, creating entrepreneurs and not employees. But first, before we get into all of that, man, just tell them a little bit about who you are and some of the things that you've accomplished in your career, starting 3 international businesses and things of that nature.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that, brother. Again, I appreciate what you're doing, giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Thomas TJ Loftin. I'm an international celebrity car builder. Made waves during the 90s building lowriders. custom cars and classic cars. So when you were watching those NWA videos and all of those type of things, and you saw those lowriders bouncing up and down, you know, it's a strong possibility I had something to do with building those cars, or something to do with that industry of making it possible for those cars to be there, period. You know, I helped a lot of people in my community start businesses in that trade, in that industry of restoring cars. You know, a lot of car thieves came over. I bought to transition them from doing illegal things to now they're legal business owners making 6 and 7 figures a year building cars for that multi-trillion-dollar industry. So I came out of that industry, and now I do a lot of speaking and teaching now, because we were running out of people to do the work. All those guys I brought into the industry or helped me to be a part of it, all of us done gotten old now, you know, so it's time to pass it back and give it to the next generation. So that's where we are today, brother.
Absolutely, man. And I appreciate that, man. And because one of the things that I try to implore our people to understand is we have to seek knowledge versus education. And I think the school system that we have, well, when you think about education, education is merely the system by which you transfer knowledge. Now, if somebody governs that school system, then they are in charge of the knowledge that's being transferred. So we have to ask ourselves, is the knowledge that's being transferred beneficial to us and what we're doing long term? And I think for the most part, outside of basic reading and arithmetic, reciting facts and historical data and stuff like that isn't helping us as much as learning a skill such as what you learned for. So now, was this a skill that you learned when you got into the car business? Was it passed down to you from older generations, maybe your pops or uncles or somebody like this, or did you participate in what we used to have in all the school systems, some sort of shop, tech, auto body, that kind of stuff was in every high school, but because they realized there was money to be made, they took it out of the high schools, and now the Vatterrots of the world and the ITT techs get all of that stuff where we used to access that for free. So where did you get your start in the industry?
Well, honestly, good brother, it came from some interesting beginnings. In my community where I grew up, a lot of people was car thieves. Yep. So the common get together was people getting together in the alley or in the garage stripping a stolen car. So there was a lot of knowledge that came from that, you know, how to pull the front end off, how to drop a rear end, how to take the interior out of a car and put it in another car, how to take the front end off of an 88 Suburban and put it in a 90 Suburban or something the other way around, you know. Right. How to pull that Corvette engine out of that new Vet and put it in that 64 Chevy. That's a lot of knowledge that people took for granted and didn't realize its major value in that and wealth. So outside of that, I went to high school, and by the time I got to junior high school, here come the trades, man. Best thing that ever happened to me in my life. You know, the wackest class I thought I ever had was that sewing class, but that was one of my needed classes, you know. That sewing class transition, that sewing class was a pathway to putting interior into them 59 Chevy Impalas, you know what I mean? Yeah. I understood the concepts of it and said, oh, I'll do it myself. I'm not going to pay you the $1,800 to do it. I know how to do it. You know what I mean? I had a sewing class in junior high. So then we had, you know, by the time I got to older, you know, high school, then I had my mechanic class. You know, I had the wood shop. Wood shop came in handy when people come to me and say, man, I need a custom speaker box in the trunk of my 64 Chevy, you know, I want my name in it and all of that, you know. So, man, I said, oh, I know how to do that too. I know how to work with wood, you know. So mechanic class came in handy when it came down to building the cars. So imagine this. Every day I go to school, I learn something, you know. I learned how to change oil today. I went home that day. On the way home, everybody that I knew who had a car, which was everybody. 90% of Californians got cars. Right. Hey, man, I could change your brakes. You know, let me know. Holla at your boy, $25. You get the pads, I'll put them on for you. I'm making money. Next day, I learned how to change oil. Next day, I'm coming home. Hey, I could change the oil for you. You know, it was real stuff that I could use. So
Yes.
I made money. By the time I graduated from high school, I'm making $6,000 a month out my mama's backyard. So
Wow.
when they started pushing this thing called college in the late 80s, I graduated in 89.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not to blast college, but I'm just gonna keep it real with you. They started pushing this thing called college, and I'm like, well, dang, I'm making $6,000 a month up. You know, they must make way more money than me. You know, but then I start thinking, my mom got a job. She told me she was making $3,500 a month or something, 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm like, wait a minute. She said she went to college. You know what I'm saying? I start thinking. You know, I'm a numbers man. I start thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Mm-hmm. I'm already making more money than most of those people.
Right.
So, but I took a beat down. You're not going to college. You're gonna fail in life, and it ain't gonna work, and it ain't gonna work. So back then, for me, college was all about getting a good job. Was all about you don't have no insurance. You over there working in the backyard, but you don't have insurance. So that was what I was lacking. It wasn't about the money. They was like, it's not about the money. It's about you don't have insurance.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna figure out how to get some of that one day. You know, you know, insurance. I'd rather make the money and deal with that later.
Right, because what they're not realizing is if I'm making the money and something happens, I got the money to pay for a hospital bill or a medical visit or whatever. Just and then I can buy me some insurance as a small entrepreneur, a small business owner. I can get some insurance. So that's good stuff, man. And I'm really glad you said that. No, this is not a bash on college. But you have to remember, college is a business. And the best thing that business industry has going is everybody doing advertising for them. And they don't have to put any ads out there because everybody is talking about going to college, right? You know, so they don't have to spend on the advertising.
I'm going to put that out there. You know what? I used to kind of hold back about talking about it, but we are in dire need right now. We got mass homelessness going on. So we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. When you invest your money in something, if you keep investing in it and you ain't getting no return from it, all you got is a piece of paper on the wall.
And a bunch of debt.
It's a bad investment. The problem with it is people have not figured out what can we use to replace it. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying? So that's where I come in at. I'm like, okay, well, these are things that's out there that you can be doing.
Right.
Things that are right in front of you. The things you use every day. I never could understand personally. I remember my partner coming home from school. They didn't know how to change light bulbs. They didn't know how to fix the car. They didn't know how to do a tax return. They didn't know how to balance a checkbook. And I'm like, what the hell did you learn?
They learned for years. They learned how to recite some facts.
Yeah, and
that's what they learned.
And now you're so programmed, you shooting me down because I don't speak the same as you do. Because I didn't properly pronounce that punctuation, or I didn't put that punctuation mark. Now you don't want to even read it. Right. You know, or my buddies left off. You know, back in the days, I would say, loan me 100,000, and they'd be like, here, no problem. They give it back. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, what's the return on investment? Oh no, that don't look good. What do you mean that doesn't look good? Oh, I'm gonna go over here and invest it in some stocks because I learned in school. So it drove a wedge in between us. Mm-hmm. When I was pitching to people about this car business, you know, hey, there's a big market for building cars, and hey, I got these guys in Japan that want to buy some lowriders from me. They're like, well, who's gonna build it? Oh, well, little Bobby, the car thief guy. Remember, he was stealing all them Corvettes and putting the motors. Oh, well, that's a high risk, and I'm cool. You know, I'm like, wait a minute. Did you not just hear me say that nobody else in the world could do that? Right. Did you not hear that? You know what I'm saying? He is the only one, and if we can put some legal money in his pocket, we gonna all be wealthy. And that's a word that they don't use in school. They don't use wealth. They don't use financial freedom. They use a good job. They use words like competing. You have to compete. You have to work harder. And I'm like, what the hell is that all about? I ain't never had to compete in business.
No, you dominate.
Doing this. Me and my friends, put it like this. There's over 10 million lowriders around the world. right now.
Okay.
If I had 1,000 customers, that would still not scratch the surface of the 10 million. If you had 1,000, if he had 1,000, and everybody in the neighborhood had 1,000 customers.
Right.
That was, and they came in there every day of the month and spent $1. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That was still not or $1,000.
Right. Absolutely. And I want to take this time, because I do this often, man, to give a little history lesson about how we messed up, or how we got messed up, and how when you're in control, my favorite definition of power is when you can define someone else's existence and have them take ownership of that definition as if they created it. See, when slavery ended, we had all the skills. We had the skills. Remember, nobody else has. Their main skill was being patty rollers and overseers. They didn't know how to do the work with the hands. We did. So when they released us and we started fleeing north, those who did have a little bit of skill said, we've got a bunch of people who are used to working for free about to flood the job market. And if they're used to working for free, they can undercut us and do the same work for half the money. So how did they stop that from happening? That's where your labor unions came in. So you had to be a part of a union to get some of these jobs that we qualified for because we had the skill. And then they said, okay, you can't get in the labor union, so you can't. Okay, so I'm going to do this on the side and just build my business on the side. And we went into entrepreneurship, right? And then what did they say? Oh, in order for you to practice your plumbing skill, in order for you to practice your skill as an electrician, you need to be certified, meaning you have to go take a written test.
Right.
Well, wait a minute. I'm just out of slavery. It was against the law for me to learn how to read. How can I go take a written test? So now what our people did in their best estimation to protect their children, before we would just pass those trades down right on to the next generation. You wouldn't have had to go to school because you'd have been working with your dad since you was knee high to a grasshopper. And you know how to do all that stuff by the time you was 9. But since your dad got shut out, I can't take a written test to get certified, so I can't work on my own. I can't be in a union that's segregated, so I can't get a job with these skills. Why would I pass them down to my children? So in order for you to be successful, son, you need to go to school, get an education, and go that route. And that's how they kill the family businesses and the trade. Right. And now it's time for us to get back to that. And that's what you're promoting, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go back to the roots. Go back. Anything, put like this. Trades are pathways to wealth, period.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You may not find a job in these trades, but you will definitely become wealthy if you create a business in these trades.
Yes.
What do I mean by that? Okay, if you learn how to put a plumbing pipe in the ground, or wire hook up a toilet, or hang a ceiling fan, these are all multi-billion-dollar industries plus.
Yes.
And going through this mass gentrification that we're going through right now, it is plenty of jobs for the next 50 years plus, because every major city in America is being redeveloped, or we call it gentrified.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? That means there's plenty of construction jobs everywhere. What else does that mean? That means there's plenty of opportunities for new businesses to open up.
New construction companies should
be popping up. Not just new construction companies, but new, restaurants, new burger stands, new auto mechanic shops. So all of these things in construction that's being done is creating huge amounts of commerce, meaning we have heavy machinery on the road. We have large diesels on the road. We have people going back and forth to work. So that means these people need brakes on their cars. They need their oils changed. They're getting into car accidents. They need their fenders replaced. Their cars need to be repainted. People's going to want a new car. But let's go back to the beginning. When you learn a trade, like me, I learned how to weld. That was one of the trades I learned.
Okay.
When I learned how to weld, I realized the power behind that weld. I could take metal and fix stuff. So one thing I was doing was cutting off old rusted out thing. Rust makes up 60% of the auto restoration industry, because most of the cars are 50 plus years old. So you're taking an old car that's been in the back swamps of Mississippi, and we pull it out, and now we got to cut all that rust out and weld it back. Well, guess what? A lot of those parts, you can't just walk into the Chevy dealer and say, hey, I can't buying that stuff. So what happens? You got to make it. So what does that mean? That rolls you into now you're manufacturing. So I started, I ran into some, for example, to this day, I manufacture trunk rain gutters for 1959 and 1960 Chevy Impalas. When you pop the trunk, and you have that weather strip around the trunk of every car, even new cars. And when the rain rains into between the trunk, it goes in that hole and it drains out the back of the bumper. Those are the rain gutters. So I manufacture those for 56 to 76 Chevy Impalas. So fast forward the story, I looked at it and I said, it's just metal. I found a good one. I looked at the bad one, so I found a good one. I said, oh, okay. I took it and I heated it up. I got some new metal. I heated it up and I just replicated this old one. Next thing you know, I became a manufacturer. I went over to the local Harbor Freight, not trying to plug Harbor Freight, but the hardware store. I said, hey, I want something to bend this metal. They say, oh, you can have the $79 machine, handmade machine, or you can get the $500 machine, or you can go on the website to this company. They make big ones for hundreds of thousands. Well, give me the $79 one. You know what I'm saying? I'll start from there. So I'm manufacturing, not in China, but here. See, that's another thing. We got to clarify that. See, a lot of people talk about starting businesses, and then a lot of people talk about starting manufacturing, and then it always ends up in China. Don't send your stuff to China, because what happens is, when you think about China, China's shipping stuff. China's a global company. You just a small guy or woman that just started here in America. You barely can afford to patent that item here in America. So China knows this. So China, like, well, we're gonna sell it in other places where African American people are at, and we're gonna sell it in the UK, sell it in Japan, Germany, Australia, and you won't know about that. You just wonder why you ain't getting no international sales, because they sell your product because you gave them authorization to sell it, to make it. Wow. You know, so don't go to China. It's cheaper. Put it like this: you may be able to get it for a quarter in China, but you can make it here for 75 cents to $1, depending on how many you make. But it's all about creating jobs. So why would you send it to China and employ them? So my quick story is, when I started this, for example, I started building lowriders. In building lowriders, I needed to move these cars around. You know, I needed tow trucks. So I had a muffler shop, paint shop, interior shop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So boom, I went and bought my own first tow truck and had my homeboy drive it. Convicted felon, you know, couldn't get no regular job, definitely wasn't going to college. Boom, he starts driving cars back and forth, going to pick them up. Boom, next thing you know, I end up with 4 tow trucks. Next thing you know, I got 4 or 5 homeboys doing it. Now, 20 years later, they got tow truck companies with 4 and 5 and 10 trucks each in our middle. So then people started calling me from the East Coast saying, hey, I got a barnyard full of those 64 Chevys, 59s that you like. I want $300 to $500 each. So I'm like, I got to bring back 20, 30 cars. So I went and bought a car carrier and started sending the guys out there, convicted felons, teardrops, the whole nine. Barely, only thing good they had going for them was a driver's license. That was it. Go get them cars. Go bring me them 20 cars back from Mississippi. Oh man, it's gonna take 2 or 3 trips. So go get them. You know what I'm saying? Now, 20 years later, those brothers got car carrier businesses and are all millionaires. Each truck, 300,000 and 400,000 a piece, and they got 3 or 4 trucks each. You see what I'm saying? So I was able to go back to my community. Now, all those trucks need to be repaired. They need to be fixed. They need to be brand new. And then the crazy part about it is upgrading them. When we started moving lowriders around, we started needing special things that didn't exist. So now we're talking about intellectual property. We're talking about patents, trademarks, copyrights. You know, so Mr. $1 billion tow truck company, I got an idea. Would you like to buy it? You know, things like that. So we got to get back to the trades. I mean, I think I got a little excited, brother. I'm just all
No,
over.
man. Listen. You and I think so much alike that it's not even funny. And I loved her. I'm telling you, I must have watched that thing over and over. It was just a small clip. I forget where you were, but they streamed live a little bit of your presentation, and I was like, man, brother is on it, because what you're basically talking about is we have to get back to producing,
Right?
because when you produce, everything comes out of that. See,
Right.
Dr. Claude Anderson also talks about that, owning not just the retail end of an industry, but the whole chain from
Right.
raw materials all the way through retail. So raw material, manufacturing, buying, wholesaling, distributing, all retailing, all of that stuff. And that's what you're talking about, because most people don't think leverage, they think linearly, so they can't see that for every one business, they can't see all of the different other businesses that are created out of just one. So I did a talk last year on this show about ketchup, how ketchup can create 1 million jobs if we just produce ketchup.
Right.
Because think about it, where does ketchup come from? It comes from tomatoes. So you're going to need a bunch of farmers growing tomatoes. You can't harvest tomatoes with machines. So you need people in those fields harvesting the tomatoes. Then the tomatoes have to go to be processed and turned into, well, all of that processing equipment, like you said, has to be manufactured, has to be maintained. So you need mechanics in the warehouses and the shops. Then once you create that stuff then has to be shipped to a bottling company. Well, the bottling company has equipment that it has to maintain, the trucks that take it to the bottle. So just by producing one product, we can create 1 million jobs.
Exactly.
Get to the bottling plant, guess what? Somebody has to take the plastic, melt it down, recycle it, form it into new bottles. That creates a whole nother industry with all sorts of machinery and all sorts of customization and the patents and everything. So we've got to get to production, and that comes from understanding the trades and industry at a fundamental level.
Let's drop some direction to people, because people, I'm notorious for talking about college. Mm-hmm. Education. Okay, when people say education to me, that means 4 years of college, 4+ years. Now, well, now we're at 90% of college graduates are unemployed. Yeah. With degrees. Do y'all know what that means? 90% of college graduates that has degrees, whether it's a master's degree or whatever it is, they're unemployed, meaning they can't find jobs. So they're using language saying that they need to learn how to better compete. Why would you try to compete in a world that wasn't meant for you in the first place? But yet, if you turn around and get a basic trade, doing things that you use every day, you will create a business and become a multi-millionaire, and then you will be in a pathway to become a multi-billionaire by manufacturing your own products. So you will not put it like this. Most of the inventions that come from the everyday employee. Most billion-dollar ideas that comes from the everyday employee. So now what are they doing? They're passing law. They passed a law that said if you work at a company and you come up with a bright idea at that company to do something that's going to change the world, that's not your idea. That's that company's idea.
Yeah.
They sparge. How about that? You see what I'm saying? You come up with an idea that revolutionizes the world and it becomes $1 trillion idea. That's not your idea. You may not even get a bonus that week. So why would you want to put yourself in a situation like that? But I tell people, learn a trade. Mm-hmm. When I built cars, I saw things that wasn't being made. To this day, I have a big notebook full of ideas that's not made. So literally one idea, for example, my rain gutters, man, in the heyday, I was making like a high 6 figures a year off of those because that's all I had. I was just spending a lot of time selling those. But now since I started my public speaking, I've fallen back. But my whole point is, it cost me $4 to make them. They retailing for $125.
What?
You see what I'm saying? That's the first thing you got to know in manufacturing. Never be scared of the profits.
Mm-hmm.
It may cost you a penny to make it, and it retails for $125.
Wow.
That's not unusual in manufacturing. That's why you see when you go back to who owns the sports teams, who owns this, who owns that, it's always a business owner or a manufacturer. Even these athletes, these are high-paid employees that are seeking contracts from the manufacturers. Everybody wants a contract from Nike. They want a deal with Nike so that they can make $20 million representing Nike, which is a manufacturer. You know what I'm saying? They want to represent Red Bull, all these different companies, not trying to plug any of them, but these guys are all manufacturers. So here's another big problem in our community. We have a lot of people who come up with brilliant ideas. And they may have only been, some of them are selling them, and they may have only made $1 million a year off of that product. So all of a sudden, the major corporation says, oh, snap, we need to buy that. Google, Apple, Facebook, every day of the week buying something for $1 billion. They're buying people's ideas. So we turn around and sell that, not we, because I'm not doing it no more. Sell that idea for $1 billion. You just destroyed. You may got the $1 billion or the 100 million or even the funky $1 million, which I see somebody said, good morning, millionaires. I'm like, no, that's old. We billionaires now.
Right, absolutely.
Call me a billionaire because $1 million is not barely enough to buy a house nowadays. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
$1 million is not a lot of money, so call me a billionaire, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Billionaires. But long story short, we have to start looking at what's real and what's not real. And manufacturing is the most real thing. So if you have a business, you should strive to everything that you sell, you should make it. You may start off with one item. I don't know if you got a grocery store, a little hole in the wall grocery store with 1 gallon of soy milk or whatever milk. You know what I'm saying? Then next week they come in there, you got milk, you got almond milk, and you got cookies. You know what I'm saying? The week after that, you got 3 products. The week after that, you got 20. The week after that, the year after that, you got 50. Then a year after that, you moved across the street to a bigger store.
Yeah.
You build a bigger store. So another deal that we got to look at, you know what, let me try to stick to I didn't get to write anything down, but things that we really need to know about today.
Yeah.
Because of gentrification and redevelopment, they're taking over the real estate. They're tearing down old real estate, smaller things that me and you may have been able to rent for $800 back in the days. They were being torn down, and they're putting up brand new structures. And those same type of structures with a new face on it is going to run $5,000 and $6,000. So America knows that African American people are starting businesses. More African Americans than ever before in history have started a business. So we have to stop that. So this is where the mass redevelopment is coming from. They're redeveloping all the major structures, putting up nicer places where the rent is more. So now you can't afford to go start your business because you can't find a job, because you can't afford to rent a place.
You can't afford to rent a place.
So that's going to just kill the whole start a business movement. Recycle my $5. You can't recycle nothing if you can't find a business in person. So today we should be buying the land. What do I mean by buying the land? I was just talking to one of the other real estate brothers in our community, and he makes land seem like it's the buildings or the houses. Land is the dirt. Yeah. We got to start buying the dirt.
Yeah.
So that we can turn around and start building our own commercial buildings. Because remember this, you can build at a quarter of the cost that it would take you to buy an old building. So for example, if you found a $500,000 building, 5,000 square feet, hypothetically speaking, and all of a sudden they put it on the market for 500,000. Then all of a sudden people go in there, oh, everybody wants it. Now all of a sudden they bid it up to 700,000. But if you would have bought a piece of land next door to it for 50,000, you could have built a brand new, better building, 7,000 square feet for 250,000, if not cheaper. But check this out. If you went and learned how to do carpentry, You could build that building yourself at less than a quarter of the cost. But let's take it even further. If you turn around and you say, oh, I learned how to put these HVAC systems together. I learned how to make a door, the doors is made of wood. You see what I'm saying? I learned how to make windows. That's made of wood. I learned how to make custom cabinets. That's made of wood too. Now, all of a sudden, you're coming in building at a tenth. Right. Because you're manufacturing your own goods. And you're also going back to your community and you're turning around giving jobs away. So we should have, in this current market today, with all this construction going on, we should have young people in the garages at home making doors, custom doors. There's doors that cost $25,000, but he's up. There's cabinets that cost $100,000. You see what I'm saying? Man, I had a ranch house with a 2.5 acre ranch house, and I put a brick wall up around that branch. You know how much it cost? $100,000. Wow. $100,000 to put some bricks up around my 2.5 acre property. You know how much the materials cost? 20-something. Right. 20-something thousand.
80 grand in labor.
80 grand in labor, which was profit. So my point is, people like, oh, carpenters don't make money. I'm like, who said that? Who lied to that? That's what kills me. You know what I'm saying? People are running from these things because we look at the carpenter. Put it like this: the gardener makes more money than your average your average college student. Yeah. The gardener, he's the guy that's cutting your grass. You looking at him, laughing at him because he's driving that old raggedy truck. But guess what? He charging you $50 a month. He got 200 more customers just like you. That's right. He in and out. He in and out. Boom. You're like, damn, he going already. I was going to tell him I want a tree back there, and he gone. Yeah, because he got 199 more customers he got to get to. He don't have time to play. But when you talk to that cat, you're like, hey, man, I want some palm trees over here, and I want some side back there, and I want to put, anywhere I can get a jacuzzi from or somebody to drop me a pool. Of course he knows somebody. He got a cousin that do that. So them palm trees are $1,000 a piece. The network. Yeah, so the partner is making hella money referring stuff. He like, man, you need some palm trees back there? They 10 grand a piece. He goes and gets them for 2 grand a piece. And he making 8 grand. And you talking about I need 10 of them. Then you turn around and say, oh, I need a pool. That pool gonna cost you $400,000 because you want to slide and boulders and a jacuzzi like you Hefner got and all of that. Man, all of a sudden he gets his cousin. They drop that pool and he get $100,000 on referral fee. On the referral. And you looking at him crazy like, oh, he all bummy and all of that. Wealth does not always wear a suit and tie. In fact, wealth don't wear suit and tie. When I see suit and tie, I think where they going to work? Where they work at? Yeah, and in fact, I did a show called The Portrait of a Millionaire, where we studied the book The Millionaire Next Door, and the people in the suit and tie are the people who work for the real millionaires. Right. And they are not millionaires. So it says just a few stats. Millionaires have never, the average millionaire has never spent more than $300 on a pair of shoes. Right. But the average attorney who works for the millionaires wear $1,000 shoes so they can attract millionaire customers, but they're not millionaires themselves. Right. The millionaires never spent more than $300 on a suit. Right. But the average accountant who works for millionaires wears $1,000 suit. Right. It's crazy that people spend more money trying to look like wealth, and the people who got the wealth understand that I don't need to look like wealth to be wealthy. And that's a psychological thing that we've got to help our people overcome as well. And I just put a post on Facebook. I went with a partner of mine. See, I coach a lot of people now, because I've had large amounts of money, and I've helped whole communities start. I've directly helped over 100 people start a business and indirectly helped thousands, if not millions. Right. Meaning I had hands-on with 100 plus businesses. And indirectly, those businesses that I've started, they help their brothers, their sisters, their cousins, their children start businesses that I don't even know exist. So my point is, I have a lot of experience in that. That's why I became a coach. Because I was told I've always been a coach, I just didn't know it. I wouldn't get paid for it, so I can show you all these businesses that I helped start, and the majority of them are all millionaires. But my point is, what we got to realize is that's where the wealth comes from. You got to ask yourself, do you want a good job? Mm-hmm. You say, yes, okay, well, that means to me, you want to make between 60 and 125,000 a year, which you will not be able to purchase the home you grew up in, most likely. Right. With 125,000, because here in California, where I grew up at, Compton, the houses is $500,000. So it takes $100,000 to qualify for a $500,000 house, and 99% of the college students don't make $100,000.
Right.
So we're raising a generation of non-homeowners, which is dangerous, because just like starting businesses, you will not be able to find a place to live. If you can't afford to buy a home, mortgage is cheaper than it is to rent. If you can't afford to buy, you will not be able to afford to rent. If you can't afford to rent, you're in trouble. You will forever be able to be pushed out and move around. So let's go back to, you got to start learning how to build in manufacturing. So people want to know, what do I do with my children? I was thinking about putting them in college, and some people paying for that too. A lot of people got to write checks. I was with a sister the other day. She had a check for $25,000, and she was on the way to the college to pay for a semester. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, whoa. So long story short, I was like, give me the money and I'll make them a millionaire. Plain and simple. That ain't hard. That ain't a lot of money. That ain't a lot of money. 90% of the business owners that started on less than 5,000. So it will be a dream to have 25,000 to start.
And it ain't gonna take me 4 years to do it.
At all. At all. If you start building houses, you'll be a millionaire in 6 months, because the houses are starting at $1 million nowadays in California.
Right. So let me read this comment. David McLaughlin says, I've been to prison and I'm doing the same thing with my skills I acquired while there. So there's no excuse obtaining wealth. It's an open door for everyone. I've been pioneering the way for ex-offenders for the last 15 years. We all graduated from the University of Hard Knocks.
Exactly.
And I think that is so critical because we all know how the system works. And a lot of the brothers who've got records from just trying to grind and feed their families. Most of those who got records, they're not violent offenders. They are drug traffickers. And a lot of them are not even drug traffickers. A lot of them are drug smokers. You can get time for just possessing weed for personal use, because if you think about, again, I study business. If I own a prison and the goal is to keep the prison full, who do I want to fill the prison with? Do I want to fill it with killers, or would I want to fill it with non-violent offenders, meaning now I don't have to pay COs as much because they're not dealing with killers. Their life isn't always threatened, right? So that's how the system feeds. So you got a lot of brothers who got caught up trying to make some fast money, got these records. Now they can't get jobs. Now when they re-enter society, that's when their crimes escalate, because the frustration of not being able to get a job from the initial record is really causing them a lot of stress and strain. And now they might go into robbing or something else. But those brothers, I always say entrepreneurship, selling dope and hustling, all of that is just a perversion of entrepreneurship, because we didn't have real entrepreneurs to teach us the way. If we had some real entrepreneurs to say, hey, brother, I see you got a hustle in your eye that I've never seen. Let me show you how to get your Instagram popping, and you can make $5,000 a month promoting somebody else's t-shirt.
Right.
You think them brothers gonna choose to be on the corner when they could? No, they're not. They're choosing to be on the corner because nobody's showing them the way. So we got some solutions for the people.
Every business owner, every drug dealer, every prostitute, every car thief is a business owner. They just selling the wrong products, going about it the wrong way. So instead of us trying to take them and redo them and put them out there in the job world, that's insanity, when they already have a mindset of a business owner that can create jobs for the community. So that's where we need to be. We need to put them back into the business. Hey, brother, quit selling this crack or this whatever this is, this illegal stuff you selling, stealing these cars and all of that. Why don't you start manufacturing your products? Here goes a 3D printer you can buy. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. The auto industry, put it like this. The auto industry here in California, if not America, is like having oil. We the Saudi Arabia of the oil. You know what I'm saying? The classic cars. California sell more cars than any other place in the world. Period. The I-405 freeway in California is the world's busiest freeway. So why is that? Because we got all these cars. So if you literally started a business just doing brake jobs, you will be a multi-millionaire. And that's by yourself. Now you start hiring employees. So why are we not taught about cars? Because they know this. They say once you put people like TJ in there, and then I start doing brakes, and then all of a sudden I start hiring my friends to do the brakes, then all of a sudden I'm gonna want to go buy the trucks that bring me the brakes. Then I'm gonna want to go start manufacturing the brakes. Then I'm gonna want to go buy the steel company where the steel comes from. And they know that. They don't want to get shut out. That's why they created these new jobs, sitting in high-rise buildings where you're just pushing papers and pencils, punching on computers and not really learning anything. Okay, you know how to do liberal arts and all of that stuff. What is that? what the hell is that? So many of our college students go off to college to learn that liberal arts. Why is that? Because they don't want to be there in the first place. They're just going because their parents told them you got to go to college. Because their parents think that, oh, if I send them off to college, they're guaranteed to be great. Because look what happened to such and such. Look at us. We did good. No, you guys did good because back in the baby boomers' day, college was free. If not $50,000, they got free college. They bought $12,000 homes. You see what I'm saying?
That appreciated 1,000%.
Yeah. So now here's the thing. They're saying college worked for me. No, it did not work for you. It did not work for you. What worked for you was you bought a $12,000 home in the 70s. Now it's worth $500,000. Now, because you got that home, your credit, they realize, oh, she has a $500,000 home, or they have a $500,000 home. Let's send them some credit cards. Oh, and they sent them a $50,000 credit card based on equity in their property. Now, if you would have removed that home, they wouldn't have had that credit. Now, if you remove the home and the credit, you would have realized that college education ain't doing nothing for you.
Right, because and my thing is, even with their college degree, when you go to the job, they're going to train you how to do the job. So I'm thinking to myself, I could have walked in here out of high school and you could have trained me to do the job the same way whether I had a degree or not.
The internship. You cannot get a job fresh out of college without doing an internship. And during the internship is where you learn how to do the job.
That job. Yep.
So you drop the college and just go to the internship.
Just let me work for you for 6 months for free. And then if you like what I do, I can just start working and I don't have to spend $100,000 on a degree that you don't require, because I know engineers that I work with, and he's like, dude, I ain't used none of them formulas I learned in school. When I got on the job, they taught me what I was going to be doing on the job right here on the spot. None of that stuff that I learned in school carries over to.
That's how it used to be. You cannot leave a degree to your children. When you come home from school, you cannot leave that degree, and you definitely can't pass it down to them. That knowledge you learned from your job, you can't go pass it to them and they can go back to your job and use. But everybody I teach about the classic cars and about business, they can just walk in there and say, TJ showed me the game. They're going to be like, well, show us that you know the game. Boom, we want to hire you because we damn sure don't want to compete against you if TJ taught you. If TJ taught you the game, we don't want to compete. We'll give you a job, but you don't want a job. You want to start your own business because I've showed you the game. So that's that's
willable to the children, and that's the part that we've got to get. Even if you pass the knowledge down to your kid, and your kid later grows up and say, I know how to fix brakes, I know how to flip a car, I know how to strip a car down and put everything back together, bumper to bumper, but I don't want to do that. But because I know that, when I pass him down this business, he still knows it so well that he can maintain the business, even if he wants to go and do his own thing. Maybe he wants to get into a whole different industry, but they have the knowledge of the industry where they can maintain the family business. One of the things I like to ask is, when you think about how many 100-year-old Black-owned companies do we know of?
There's a lot of them, believe it or not.
So, but when you think about all of the other family legacies that exist in comparison, how many 100-year-old, 200-year-old Black-owned because we don't pass the knowledge down. And the kid, because we didn't pass the knowledge down, we started a business so we can make money to send our kids to college. Our kids went to college, got jobs. Now when it's time to pass them the business, they don't want it.
Right. Key part. I love that you said that. In my life, I've had several people try to leave me their businesses. Now, with all these college degree people that's coming out of school, why is it that they wouldn't leave it to many of them? There's so many college degree people coming home with a master's. Why is it that they can't leave it to them? Because they don't know business.
They don't know business.
You got a master's degree, you got a doctorate. We call you Dr. Such and such, but yet I can't leave you this $1 million business. That's a problem. That is a problem.
You now just have a master's degree. You have an MBA, a master's in business.
Right. But you
can't own a business. You can't start a business. You can't run a business.
That is a problem. You can't run this business. You can't run your own business with that degree you got. We got to start seeing the bamboozle. So I look at, for example, my buddy owned a body shop. His son went off, and I think that's another conspiracy. Because why is it that children of business owners always get the best jobs? Always. Always. Like they ain't even got to go to college. They walk right in and they make $85,000. And they be like, I don't got to do nothing. I just sit here and get a check.
Right.
Because somebody knows he's the legacy to his daddy's multi-million-dollar business, that his daddy owns that building that he's in. His daddy bought that building for $50,000, but now it's worth $2 million. And we want that real estate that is set so if we keep his son or his daughter spoiled, they won't want to go back and take over daddy's business. So when daddy gets old, he's going to sell it. He ain't going to his children. If he dies, his children go sell it. And that is a real epidemic in our community.
And that was what I was alluding to. That's why we don't have as many 100-year-old Black-owned family businesses, because one generation builds the business and the next generation sells the business, because we don't understand the power of ownership.
And then it gets even deeper than that. It goes into our relationships. We got to start dealing with business-minded women, meaning I've been in situations where people have said, TJ, I want to buy your business from you. I'll give you $2 million for it. And I'm like, I'm good. Hell no. But my ex-wife was like, that's crazy. You better take the money. I'm like, what? So can you imagine? Because I did not want to take the money, now I'm divorced because she thought I was stupid. You see what I'm saying? Why is it that when someone comes with peanuts, you want to give me a couple $1 million for a business that's going to be worth billions one day, that's going to create? I'm employing all my homeboys. They all own homes now. They're feeding their families. They're not deadbeat dads. These are fathers that got children and taking care. Their children are all spoiled. And you're telling me I should sell the business and lose, all those people are going to lose their jobs? So we got to stop selling stuff. And then we got to get out of these relationships where people have not seen real money and say, oh, you're stupid. Apple offered you $500 million for that, and you didn't sell it. You're stupid. We got to get out of that, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the old proverb: if you have an apple orchard, when do you cut it down to make firewood? You don't. You sell the apples and you buy firewood. Period. But we don't understand the power of ownership, and that's a big problem in the community. I did a show last week, 7 Habits of Self-Made Millionaires. Number 7 was what? Marry well. You marry people who you are equally yoked with spiritually, but also financially. If you guys aren't thinking the same way financially, you're setting yourself up for disaster. Like you said, you guys were probably yoked in a lot of ways, but when it came to money and business, you guys are on 2 different playing fields. So you have to definitely make sure that the person that you are marrying or building with long-term, you guys got to be on the same page. Brother, it is 8 o'clock, man. This hour has flown by. Tell everybody how they can contact you if they want to get in your coaching program, they want to start a multi-million-dollar business with you. Tell them how to get a hold of you.
You want to start a business, you want coaching, or you want me to come out and speak, motivational speaking, coaching, training. You want me to come to your town and throw a training course and teach you and your friends or whatever, your church, your business. I'm at Thomas TJ Loftin, LOFTIN.com. I can be reached at area code 310-619-3954. Also, all my YouTube, my Instagram, my Facebook is Thomas TJ Loftin. Don't just look at it. Please go on there and subscribe to the YouTube. Follow me on Facebook. Go to all 3 pages. Click like, share, whichever. Let people know.
Got you. And then we didn't get to this, brother, but here is something else that puzzles me. And I'm glad I connected with you, because I've been saying that if nobody else is going to do this stuff, hell, I'm just going to have to do it. Tell me this, because I know that you took one of your businesses and you franchised it. Tell me why we some of the most chicken-eating people on the planet, and there's not one single chicken franchise nationally in the country. Everybody starts a mom and pop chicken business. Why don't we franchise?
We do. You know, out here in LA, we have Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. They got about 4 or 5 of them. When I was in Texas, I can't think of the name of it, but it's one in Texas and Louisiana. It's another Johnson's Chicken or something like that. We have them. There's a lot of Black businesses, but we don't put our name up in lights. It's Black owned. You buy from a lot of Black businesses, but you don't know it, because you go in those businesses and you see Hispanics, you see Asians, you see white people working in white managers. So you automatically assume, oh, it's a white person owns this. A lot of people.
Right. I'm thinking even Roscoe's. I'm familiar with Roscoe's from the branding and movies and things of that nature. Why isn't there a national chain of Roscoe?
You know what? Because that brother, keep in mind, when we get those of us who got it figured out, they start to have problems. Problems that could be meaning they didn't have enough children, because the only person who you really could trust is your daughter and your son. You know what I mean? So we got to put together a better model of how to get our money. You know, okay, I'm here based in California, but I got 10 stores in Florida. How am I monitoring my money? So we have to create a better system. Like for me, when I had all those lowrider shops, like you said, I franchised it out and I had my buddies own shops all over the country. It was very difficult to monitor my money, which the technology wasn't there back then. Now they got cameras. I can monitor my shops by cell phone and see, hey man, you opened up 2 minutes late. So it's easier to deal with. Now I can say, okay, well, I'm watching the PayPal. I'm watching the bank deposits. I'm watching the transferred money. I'm the one controlling everything because the technology is there now. So this is why I coach people and I consult, because people call me, if you got a little hole in the wall restaurant or business or beauty salon, I can come in and help you to franchise that and take it national. So one thing about it, I did not know when I was selling my businesses, it was everybody who asked me to buy one, I sold one. I never went out and ran an ad. I found out there's a magazine, that franchise magazine, that you can buy franchises from. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know those things exist. I could have put my business in the franchise magazine. I could have also, and next thing you know, boom, I'm selling them for $500,000 each. You know what I'm saying? $5 million each all over the country, and had 3,000 stores. But this is why I started doing that now. I offer my coaching services or my consulting, or I'll go out and just do it for you. People come to me all the time and say, hey, my son just got a contract for playing ball. He gave me $10 million to start some businesses with. It's 10 of us. We need 10 different businesses. No problem. How many you want? You only want 10, or do you want me to franchise it and put one in each state? I can do that for you. If they got the money, I can do whatever they think they want, plus some.
Got you. Good deal. So you guys have been listening to and learning from Thomas TJ Loftin. Brother, it's been a pleasure. But you guys know what time it is. It's time for us to go beyond the stream. That means we leave y'all behind and we do some exclusive chopping it up. So I'm H. Cortez, the one and only financial help mentor to the Black community. He's Thomas TJ Loftin. And until we talk to you next time, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve it. Peace out, y'all.